It's good to be back in Westeros. Hey guys, welcome back to Adlib Talk, and this is my review for episode 1 of House of the Dragon. Please be warned, I will discuss a lot of events that take place in the first episode of House of the Dragon, so be warned, spoilers ahead. But before we start with this review, as always, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing. Based on parts of Fire and Blood, a book which tells the history of House Targaryen, Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik are serving as showrunners. Now, you might remember Sapochnik as the director of some of the best Game of Thrones episodes, such as Season 6's Battle of the Bastards and The Winds of Winter, but also some of its worst, such as The Long Night and The Bells from Season 8. The series is set around 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones and will basically chronicle the start of the fall for House Targaryen. Episode 1, called The Heirs of the Dragon, which was also directed by showrunner Miguel Sapochnik, serves as a decent introduction to all the players of this first season of the series, as well as reintroducing us to the setting of the story. Westeros has just experienced its first century of Targaryen rule, and we start off with a short prologue showing us how Prince Viserys was named Prince of Dragonstone and heir to King Jaehaerys' throne, whose claim was also contested by Princess Rhaenys, Jaehaerys' oldest grandchild, who's named the Queen Who Never Was. 9 years later, we see that Viserys' wife, Queen Aemma, is pregnant once more, with Viserys believing he was going to have a son. To celebrate this, Viserys organizes a very expensive tournament with numerous famed knights participating. We are also introduced to Prince Daemon, Viserys' brother, who is the Lord Commander of the City Watch, who has organized the Gold Cloaks, around 2,000 strong, whom we see cleaning up the streets, with Prince Daemon personally killing or maiming numerous accused criminals. This also sets up the conflict there seems to be between Daemon and the King's Hand, Sir Otto Hightower. Now, as an introduction to these various characters, I thought the opening 20 minutes were rather effective in helping us distinguish between the different Targaryens, although I thought that the pacing of the first 20 to 30 minutes was a little too slow. I will get into performances later on, but Matt Smith as Prince Daemon definitely deserves a mention, as he really did impress in this first episode. Seeing the Gold Cloak's violent methods was rather entertaining and well shot, and I thought it was an effective scene in showing us how ruthless Prince Daemon can be in achieving his goals. I am very much looking forward to seeing how his character will develop throughout this season. The tournament scene itself was also beautifully shot. I thought that this scene once more was a great exhibit for a number of characters who will play a vital role in this series, such as Sir Criston Cole, a low-born Dornish knight whom we see defeat Daemon in the tournament. In the meantime, Aemma's child is breached and Viserys decides on saving the child and not his wife in one of this first episode's most brutal and most powerful scenes, beautifully shot as well. Unfortunately for him though, they both die. Prince Daemon celebrates this, calling Balon the heir for a day, leading to one of the other best scenes of this first episode, as we see Viserys confronting Daemon. The dialogue here is effective and well written and brings out the love both characters have for each other, but also the pain and disdain that has developed between the two, with Viserys stripping Daemon of his title as heir and ordering him to return back to his wife in the Vale. That also means that now Rhaenyra would be declared heir to the throne. So, as a premiere, I must say I was rather pleased with most of what I saw. Visually, the series looks promising. I am glad King's Landing looks just as good as it looked in Game of Thrones. And that is thanks to us having showrunner Miguel Sapochnik in charge of the series. You can tell this is a man who knows how to make a visually beautiful scene. The tournament scene itself was so well shot, as was the gold cloak scene and the confrontation between Viserys and Daemon, as well as the birthing scene, as I have mentioned, all beautifully shot and all well produced. If I had to have one criticism, I thought that some of the green screen throughout felt a little weak, giving it this like fake look to it. And is it just me, or do the dragons have they lost that wow factor that they had in Game of Thrones? This is a rather worrying aspect for me personally in a series called House of the Dragon. However, when it comes to costumes, makeup, and the overall look of the world and the characters, I am very pleased by what I have seen so far. What I am also definitely pleased about is how much focus was given to court intrigue and scheming in the first episode. One of the reasons why I thought Game of Thrones started to lose its way in the latter seasons was because less and less time and importance was given to this aspect of its series. However, hopefully this first season can bring back that tension and mystery that was so prevalent in the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. Performances were overall quite pleasant to watch. As already mentioned, I thought Matt Smith's performance was standout. We could instantly tell what kind of ambitious persona he was, ready to do anything to achieve what he thinks he deserves. Paddy Considine as King Viserys Targaryen also gives us a good performance as the likable king of the 7 kingdoms, excelling especially in his showdown with his brother Daemon at the end of the episode. With regard to Emma Darcy, I'm not too convinced so far. I thought her performance was rather wooden, but I will await more episodes to see whether it's the problem with the writing or maybe it's just the way her performance has to be as her character. I guess we'll find out in future episodes. Add to this a fantastic soundtrack by Ramin Djawadi, and you might be thinking that Game of Thrones is back. Hold your horses. As pleasant as the performances and some of the scenes were, I couldn't help but remove the feeling that I was kind of watching Game of Thrones light in the first episode. As interesting as I'm sure these characters will turn out to be, I struggled somewhat with how humorless the whole affair was and just how similar many of these characters seem to be. I remember watching episode 1 of Game of Thrones and instantly falling in love with characters who seemed so particular, such as Arya Stark, King Robert Baratheon, and obviously Lord Eddard Stark. With that episode also having that shocking ending involving Bran, Cersei, and Jaime, as well as obviously the opening scene involving the White Walkers. Now, this episode was lacking when it came to hooks. There was nothing that really hooked you. It was all quite pleasant to watch and all well shot and mostly well performed, and the writing was okay. But there was nothing, wow, there was nothing that was like, oh yes, I have to find out what's going to happen next. It was just a good introduction to the setting and to the characters. So overall, whilst I was pleased with what we got in episode 1, I still think there are some lacking elements here, which hopefully we can get in future episodes. And having read the book, I know we will get in the future. For now, it's more kind of a setting up the story and a lot of introducing characters. That will take time, and as I mentioned in the start, has slowed down the pace quite a bit. So what about my rating for House of the Dragon episode 1? My rating is a 3.5 out of 5. It effectively introduces the characters and the setting, but lacks that wow factor that Game of Thrones had for its first 5-6 seasons. Hopefully this series can improve, and I'm looking forward to episode 2 to see if we can get that wow factor, if we can get that hook That will make me really look forward to watching this next episode. So far, it's not there yet, but I still think we have a rather promising series to look forward to. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that review, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video, and please do consider subscribing. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Adlib Talk.